Hey guys, Defcamp here, and welcome to another episode of DefTalk, the talk show that focuses on everything World of Warcraft, whether it's classic, retail, or the players that play it. We're going to cover it all. Today we have with us my brother, the scientific sensation, Melderon. How you doing?
Hey everyone, how's it going? That's a new one.
Yeah, I always think of new ones every
Yeah,
time. I'm
it's
trying to
good.
like, oh, what can I say today?
Yeah.
And today we have with us two very special guests. We have Bombast and Jax. How you guys doing?
Good.
Good.
How are
Nice.
you?
I am doing absolutely wonderful. I had a great day today, streamed a little bit earlier, and I'm in a really good mood. We got some good news today. So I'll let you guys know, Bombast and Jax are father-daughter, and Melderon and myself are brothers. So last time we had two brothers. Now we are lucky enough to have a father and daughter. So why don't we get started? How did you guys start playing WoW? How did you guys get introduced to it? And let's hear about it.
Do you want to start off since you heard from a friend?
Yeah, well, I guess I originally got into MMOs through some friends at work. Initially, it was EverQuest, and then jumped over to WoW when it came out. And my daughter here, she was just 9 years old when I was playing EverQuest, and she started playing that then. And then when I went to WoW, she just followed me over there, and we've been fighting over the computer ever since.
We definitely know what that's like.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were just saying that Melderon and I, we definitely fought a lot because we had the same computer, same account, and ever since we were kids, I know it was we had one computer, one console, and whatever he was playing, I would want to play. If he was playing on the computer, I wanted to play on the computer. If he was playing on the console, I wanted to play on the console. So I spent many hours sitting there watching him, which made me a better player than he is, and and eventually I did get my own computer and all, but we definitely had a lot of interesting conversations and little tussles here and there.
So Dara, when was this actually when you started? What
Yeah,
time period in WoW?
I it was '99 when I started playing. Are you asking about when I first started playing MMOs or WoW
Well, let's
specifically?
start with EverQuest. Yeah, let's start
yeah,
with EverQuest. That's
yeah.
good. Yeah.
Okay, well, I jumped. Yeah, my first MMO was EverQuest, and that would have been about '99 or 2000. Can't
Wow.
remember for sure.
Yeah.
Uh, so that's I did that, and then when played that up until WoW came out in '04, and I was um, believe it or not, if you remember, I don't know if anybody remembers what the original blocky EverQuest graphics looked like. When WoW was in development, I was looking at some of the screenshots, and I was thinking to myself, "Nah, I'm not sure about these graphics,"
Wow.
even though they were infinitely better than what I was playing. So anyway, I jumped in and tried it when it came out, and I've pretty much been playing it ever since.
Wow. So we have a Vanilla WoW veteran on our hands as well. So two Vanilla WoW veterans, I believe, because you
Yeah.
started as well, Jax, during that same. You played EverQuest with your dad,
Yeah.
Yep.
and then he
And
jumped over to WoW.
yeah, I think we got our subscription like a week after launch. We didn't start on day one. It was a little bit after, but it was within the same month,
Yeah,
November.
it was a week after launch because EverQuest 2 came out first, and we were still testing the waters of EverQuest 2. But after like a week or two of playing EverQuest 2, we were both just like, I'm not sure how I feel about this. And then we jumped into WoW, and within 5 minutes, we were like, oh yeah, this is our new home.
Ever what?
Yeah,
It's like-
Yeah,
so,
exactly.
so that's, I mean, a couple, even if that was like a couple weeks into launch or a month into launch, that's amazing. So you guys got to experience vanilla WoW all through all its changes and all its good and bad times and all the, things that we remember today so fondly. So let me ask you though, did playing EverQuest kind of prepare you in a way for WoW, or was it completely different for you guys?
I really didn't know what I was doing either way. So that might be a question you can better ask. I needed to level 18 in EverQuest, and I played it for how long? Which EverQuest was really hard.
Yeah.
But
It was very
there
unforgiving.
was a city in EverQuest that I couldn't even navigate. My dad would have to run me through it because I didn't know how to get out of it. And when World of Warcraft came out, I never even saw 60 because I sucked. I just sucked. I had like no concept of anything, and the highest I ever got was level 42.
That's nothing to laugh at, though.
Level 42 is pretty high in Vanilla WoW.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially if you're, new to the game, and I'm not assuming your age or anything, but I'm assuming you were probably very young during that time.
I was 11 when WoW came out.
Okay, so yeah, that's pretty impressive for an 11-year-old to get.
It's very impressive.
Yeah.
Especially, like the older you are, it seems like, I don't know about you, Bombast, but for me, the older, when I was a little bit older, I was able to invest a little bit more time. I didn't have school, you know what I mean? So this was after I graduated high school, like right around the time I graduated high school. I had a lot more time to invest in it at that, at the time, and I could easily spend 8-9 hours, maybe more, in one sitting, and not really have any consequences. So that definitely helped me to get to level 60, I think.
So Bombast, how was your experience a little bit different? Was EverQuest kind of prepared you for this? Did you reach level cap in Vanilla WoW? What was your let's start with that, and then we'll go into races and classes you played.
I guess my experience, for me going into WoW, despite all the bugs and issues that people bring up about vanilla, compared to EverQuest, it was so much easier, but not so easy that it took away all the fun. EverQuest was hard. EverQuest was really hard. Going into WoW, the issues with the vanilla weren't really a thing for me. It was just a great game. I loved playing it. I don't know, what was the second part of your question?
So did you feel like your experience in EverQuest allow you to move through WoW at a much easier pace than other people?
Oh, maybe? Sure. I had, familiarity with how MMOs generally worked. So, yeah, it definitely helped in that regard, doing quests and things like that, and even some trade skills.
Now, had you played tabletop games before this, like Dungeons and Dragons, just out of curiosity?
Yeah, but when I was in my early teens, back in the 80s, I played some Dungeons and Dragons.
Okay,
nice.
So I was familiar with the genre,
Yeah,
that's awesome. That's really interesting though, because a lot of vanilla WoW people who didn't play EverQuest or MMOs before that love to rag on all the bugs and everything. And you being someone from EverQuest was like, yeah, it was nowhere near as bad as EverQuest was. So it's really interesting to hear that perspective because, we all know that, we had the, loot lag and issues with the servers not being too great, but
yeah, stuff like that was a pain, but
right.
It didn't bother me too much.
That's really interesting.
Yeah.
Black Tuesday, that was the worst part.
Oh, Tuesdays. Oh, God.
So one thing I did like about Tuesdays was it helped me catch up on all the content that people were putting on YouTube. So I'd watch all the Oxhorn videos and all the PvP montages, and it would get me pumped up for when the servers were going to come back up. You know what I mean? That was the only thing I liked about Tuesdays. I would wake up we got at least 3-4 more hours or more than that, depending on what time I woke up, if I was working that time or not. Wake up sometimes 2 p.m. because I was raiding the night before.
This was mostly later in the game because YouTube wasn't really relevant. I mean, it was.
This was around BC.
Yeah,
this
BC.
was more around BC.
Yeah, because we really didn't become really big players until TBC. We played, of course, in vanilla, but late vanilla, so we were really bad, of course.
I became more of a raider, PvPer, and full time. I mean, I got my guy to level cap, did a little bit here and there in vanilla, but I really think my WoW career as a raider and PvPer definitely started in TBC. So, I would wake up, I would watch all the videos that were, even ones that I watched before over and over. And what was the one, whatever. Anyway, but that was the only good thing about Tuesdays, I think, was that you catch up on all the good content and stuff like that, read the patch notes, that kind of thing.
So what did you guys roll? Race, class, faction?
So my first character was a Night Elf Hunter, and her name was Abby. Abby. That is how.
How did you get that name?
Original.
Wow.
That is how original we were. There's no special characters or some crazy name. It was just Abby. Abby.
That's how you know that you're a very early player because you got a four-letter name that wasn't taken. Yeah, that's pretty good.
That's an actual name. Yeah.
I actually rolled a Night Elf because my very first memory of World of Warcraft is actually my dad showing me the trailer for it with the dwarf and the bear.
Yep.
I think it's symbolic to everyone who ever played Classic.
Oh yeah.
And I just remember after that scene, it goes to like the night elf woman, and she eventually turns into a cat.
Mm-hmm.
So I was thinking that like any night elf could turn into a cat, which was so cool because in EverQuest I played a race called the Valshir.
Yeah.
So I was like this tiger woman, but they ran on their on 2 legs. So I'm like, oh shit, I can run on 4 legs now.
Yeah.
But I rolled a hunter, so it never happened. But I did eventually go on to roll a night elf warrior.
Nice.
Oh,
So,
nice! Wow.
I know. For someone who sucked really bad at the game, like I went from the best leveling class to like the worst. I did not help myself at all.
That's awesome, though. And,
That's kudos
my
to do
first
that, though.
character-
That's
that
easy.
is. I mean, we all know like how hard leveling a warrior. Well, more Melderon more than
Yeah, my first
He
character
did
was
it,
also
and-
warrior, and I got so pissed I deleted him. Yeah, it was.
We give him hell for that all the time.
Yeah. Yeah.
He had all this gold on this guy because our buddy Dan was helping him like with all this gold and all. He had all these materials. Just deleted it. Didn't transfer it to his new character. Just deleted it all.
Yeah, I had no idea
Yeah.
what was going on. And I knew in the back of my head that I can create more than one character, but I was just so like, screw this guy, and it's, but now I love warriors, and it's like crazy that I can, whatever. It's so dumb the things we did back then. So Bombast, what did you roll?
I think my first character was a warrior, and I might have got to level like 14 or 15 before I couldn't take it anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't get very high, and so then I rolled a hunter, and that's pretty much been my main ever since.
Wow. Nice.
And you guys still play retail, correct? So you've been playing all this time?
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
I know I think my longest break was like a year, and it was during I missed a lot of Miss of Pandaria.
Mm-hmm.
And I only played like halfway through Warlords because it just didn't like get my attention at all.
Yeah.
But I always end up going back to WoW. I've played just a handful of other MMO RPG games in between. I got really into Guild Wars as well. We did Age of Conan, Star Wars: The Old Republic.
Oh, nice.
Wow.
Nice.
So we've dabbled a little bit in other
Always
games.
come back to WoW.
Yeah.
It's crazy, isn't it? It's like it's like WoW has ruined gaming for us.
Yeah.
It has. It really has because nothing compares
I agree with that.
to that experience. It's crazy.
Yeah.
I mean,
You
I can
definitely
get into
compare everything to WoW.
yeah. Oh my God. It's like I get into games a little bit, try to like get into it, and then I'm just like, oh my God.
They end up making you miss WoW.
Yeah.
That's it. That's all it does.
Yeah.
That's all it does. That's all it does.
You play for a little while and you quit WoW, or maybe you're just like, oh, I'm done with this. It's taking too much of my life, or blah, blah, blah. Whatever reason you have to stop.
Right.
And then like a couple months go by and you're like, oh, you know what I could really go for right now? I could play WoW or something. And then you start thinking about it and dreaming about it. And it's like, and then you just, you're like, I have to re-up. I have to resubscribe. And
Yeah.
it's
An
amazing experience, and it's a great game. So I guess so can you walk us through maybe your first, I don't know, month? What did you guys do together? Did you
and do you guys play together?
Yeah.
Or
So at that time,
yeah.
were you playing separately?
We were on the same account.
Okay, as we were.
Don't tell Blizzard.
Yeah.
No, just joking. Just joking.
I was 11.
I know.
No,
It's
I
okay
know,
for
I
family
know, I
members.
know.
They can.
No, it's
That's actually one of the things I'm really excited for Classic, because after, I think when Legion came out, I finally got my own account, but I was playing Horde by then. So we've actually never been able to play together, but I feel like I owe it to myself to finally get a level 60 Night Elf Hunter. So we'll definitely be able to play together then.
That's so cool.
That's something I'm looking forward to the most, because we've just never had a chance to play together. And, when you think about friends who can help you or people you meet along the way where you're like, oh, I need help with this quest, no one's online or something. I'll have my dad for that if we're like within the same level range or.
Yeah. So the big question is, if you're both in a dungeon, right, or something, or questing together, and you're both hunters, and a nice, awesome piece of leather drops with like 10 agility, Bombast, are you going to give it to your daughter, or are you going to take it yourself?
No, I'll give it to her.
Oh, that's very nice.
Because she will get far more use out of it than I will. She's so much better than I am. When I was playing a hunter, I thought I was good. I thought, man, I had this hunter thing down. I thought I was really good. And then one time she was playing my character on our account, and I was watching her, and she was in PvP. I think it might have been Warsong Gulch,
Nice.
and I wanted to cry because she made me realize just how terrible I really was.
And I wasn't playing Hunter at that point. I was
Yeah,
actually,
Hunter wasn't even her character. She just
Wow.
jumped into my Hunter and just made me look like an idiot.
Now I know how Melderon feels when he watches me play.
I was actually going to say that. I was going to say that's like my brother. Like I find out some new stuff, and I'm like, look at this, and then he's like, oh yeah, you can also do this, and I'm like, I didn't think about that. That's exactly what it's like with my brother sometimes. My brother's far more better at PvP than I am. I'm more of a PvE oriented guy when it comes to. I like playing on a PvP server, but I'm not good at like the chess match really that happens instantly. You have this chess match that goes on during PvP, and for me, I'm more of a, okay guys, let's bring the boss over here, let's do this, let's do that. Where Defcamp's like think on the fly kind of, how do I
Melderon's an
counteract this?
amazing tank, an amazing like raid leader, like good at organizing people, strategizing like when it comes to raid fights and encounters. But I feel like I'm better kind of like on the fly. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But
But it's interesting. Yeah, but it's interesting because your strengths go towards different things. Like, I feel like my strengths might go better towards like a healer class or in PvP, when Melderon's strengths go better towards being a tank or being like maybe more of a support role. So maybe you can do a little more dabble in Bombast and maybe find your niche, or maybe Hunter is your niche, and you just need to, get back into it.
Get better. Well, it's been out how long now? 15 years.
that was in the
So I haven't got
burning.
better by now.
That was in the Burning Crusade because I mained a warlock during that expansion. But I just remember like he already had the tier 1 PvP set.
Oh, what was it called?
I can't think of
Yeah,
it. Demon Stalker. Demon Stalker?
Or Demon.
For TBC,
Yes.
the gladiator set. Was it
no,
the
tier 1
gladiator?
raid or tier 1. Oh yeah, tier 1 PvP is in Hunter is
Sorry.
it's either
Yeah.
Demon Stalker or you're
Yeah.
right. It's something like
yeah.
that. I forget what it's
I think it might
called.
be Demon Hunter. But I thought it was so cool, and I remember you had the crossbow that was like, it kind of looked like a phoenix, or it was like glowy. But I just remember being like, I want to level, or like I want to play with, end game players too. I want to play with level 70s because I hadn't been there yet. And I think you needed to grind out some honor, so I was like, well, I'll play your Hunter for you. And it was just like, it fit like a glove for me, I guess. And I thought it was so fun because I used to ask you all the time, like, can I do PvP on your Hunter? And then eventually I just rolled my own Hunter, and she's been my main ever
Oh
since.
wow.
And I'm not really someone, like, I'm not an altaholic. I've only really ever focused on my Hunter. I did enjoy Paladin a lot during Legion, and I thought it was
So did I,
super smooth.
Yeah.
But, even if I don't play my Hunter for a couple weeks, I'll be like, oh, I'll hop on and play a Battleground. And, like, I love that. I have so much fun. And then I always just end up going back to her and neglecting, like, any other character I have been playing.
Yeah, Hunters, I think even more than other classes, even in later iterations of WoW, are very unique. Like even in Legion and the current iterations, it's that class that's unique in the way where you have pets, you have different abilities. You're ranged, but you use non-magical, semi-magical spells. But it's a lot different than any other class. I feel a lot like, and it's really, really, and that's the thing I love so much about Vanilla WoW in general, is just how different each class feels from each other. And I think Hunter embodies that really, really well.
Yeah, I just started rediscovering the Vanilla Hunter. Actually, discovering, not rediscovering, discovering. On a server that shall not be named, I play a Hunter, and as one of my alts, and he's like level 42 or 43 right now, and I am just, it's a whole new experience of the game. The whole pet situation, and just yesterday I was in Desolus, and this warlock pinged me, like he whispered me, he's like, please help, this guy's been ganking me for an hour. And I'm like, what? So I turn around, and there's this priest ganking this warlock. Well, I ran over, concussive shot, viper sting, all these, and I just camped this priest for like 20 minutes.
So it was a mage, I think. Yeah.
No, so it was a mage. I'm sorry, it was a mage.
Yeah.
I camped
Don't
this
give
mage for like
priests
20
bad
minutes.
names like that.
I know.
Yeah.
But it was like, but having that ability to kind of engage someone in a world PvP scenario and knowing that you can kind of help someone and engage. Or I feel like it's really hard for other classes to do that, whereas a hunter is from distance. He can actually be careful about what he does or she does, and I'm really enjoying it. But you're right. So the uniqueness of each class shines through so well in Vanilla WoW, where there are unique spells and abilities that each class has that's just like, it's so much flavor, and that's why so many people have such a hard time deciding what they're going to play, because the classes were designed so well. And I think that's something that you don't get in retail. Maybe you can talk to that effect a little bit.
Well, it's just, I feel like in retail they took away all class uniqueness, because if, it's like, think about Bubble. Like, Bubble for Paladin isn't what it used to be because so many people cried about it. And then another class will have something and people will cry about that, so it gets nerfed. And, they've just watered down all these classes. They're just like a shell of what they used to be, because people just can't, like, suck it up. Or, you have this, why don't I have that? And it's so annoying. It's so annoying.
It is. I really feel like back in the day, they tried to even things out more so in regards to the entire game, looking at PvP, leveling, and PvE, and now they try to level out each class to be the same in leveling, to be the same in PvP, to be the same in PvE, to be very similar at least. So it's less so about the whole game, and it's more so about everyone being on an equal par in every scenario, and that is what took the flavor out of the classes, in my opinion.
Yeah, we noticed that too. Just I don't know when it was that I first noticed it. I think I had a pally, and I decided to try Warrior again. It might have been Warrior. I tried to, and anyway, after playing the Warrior for a little bit, I realized I was basically still playing my Paladin. They just had different names.
Yeah.
It was something along, or maybe it was the Death Knight when it came out. I don't know. That wouldn't have been palatable, but.
I feel like around Cataclysm, a lot of classes started because I think around that time Paladins got like combo points. They got like the 3 combo points or something like that, and it was a lot more like, oh well, they're basically for like rogues now, and things became a lot more like every class had some kind of heal at that point. You know what I mean? When other classes, warriors and rogues, they don't have a heal, but they do a lot of damage and they have other ways of mitigating damage. But it was something that you had to work around. Now every class has some kind of way to heal, some kind of way to deal with range. Paladins can jump on their horse in the middle of combat. And a warrior was the ones who used to be able to charge, and mages could blink, and then druids could blink, and then all these other classes could do the same thing, and it just became like, well, what's the point? What makes my class unique anymore?
Yeah, I think it was when Cataclysm came out that they got rid of melee for hunters. Because I remember logging in and I had all these action bars empty from where my Raptor Strike and Wing Clip, Mongoose Bite, where those were, and they were gone.
Wow, I totally forgot about that.
Wing Clip was essential to me, especially in PvP. That was so important to me. And it kind of took away from the class fantasy, because when I think about a hunter, I think about my pet. I've never been Beast Mastery because I think more of using my bow and arrow. But that there's also, there's the melee aspect of playing a hunter as well. And they just they robbed myself of that part of my personality. Yeah. I guess that part of the class fantasy. And to this day, there are times where I'm like, wow, I really wish I could use Wing Clip right now. Sure would be helpful. But they made it so that there is no, you don't have to be a certain amount of meters
distance.
away.
Right.
Yeah. So now you can shoot someone with your bow up close, and that was.
I think that's why you were so much better at the hunter than I was, especially in PvP, because you were really good at that transition from range to melee.
Yeah,
that's where all the hunters have the problem. Yeah,
I was terrible. I was like, oh, I'm in melee range now, so I need this ability.
Right.
With her, it was
let me drag it off my spell log and put it on my bars.
But not only removing the weapons, but removing the weapons is but what about the whole thing about the visual aspect of your hunter having those swords at their sides or that pole arm on their back, or and that's not really a game mechanic, but it has a really interesting flavor. If you do have swords, you can pull them out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's think of Legolas and Lord of the Rings. I know everyone thinks Legolas when they think of hunters, but
I love Lord of the Rings.
Okay, good.
Nice.
So that's good. We have a comparison point. So how Legolas in the movie where he'll use his bow and then someone gets close, he'll pull his swords out. and I'll start fighting with a sword. That's what it feels like, right? And then moving that away, taking that away from the hunter is just, I don't know. It just
Yeah, most people, and whether it was a longbowman in England, Mongol, they had their bows and they also had swords. They also had something they could do up close. And
Right.
yeah, it's just I didn't even think about that because I totally forgot about that aspect. I remembered, when they changed from mana to like energy or whatever focus, I think it's called.
Yes,
Right?
yes.
Yeah.
That
Which is a
was
huge change too.
like that was really awkward.
Yeah,
And
it was.
that's also one of the reasons why I never played like a rogue or a feral druid, because I can't manage that bar.
Yeah.
That and combo points, I just cannot do.
Yeah.
But when they got rid of mana and went to focus, that was really strange because I think that happened during like Mists or something, or maybe it was Cata. But for most of my like Warcraft life, I've always had mana.
Mm-hmm.
Managing that, like, it was a lot easier for me to manage that than to focus at first until you get to it. But I do remember seeing that and being like, "What?
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah.
And
Whose idea was this?"
Yeah.
Hunters
definitely a lot. Yeah.
That's
And,
one of the frustrations for me, and I guess a lot of people too. Just over the years, the way they keep reinventing the classes. And then you have to, it's like every expansion, you have to learn how to play your class all over again.
Yeah.
It's frustrating.
It is frustrating. And now we have, with Classic coming out, we have a static, experience we can go back to and say, okay, I know I can use this ability now, and I know I can do this. And, the melee part of the Hunter, not only is it really aesthetically cool and interesting, it's also mechanically very important. So in raids, if you want to proc Nightfall, which is an axe you can craft, and it has a debuff that puts on the boss. It increases all the magical damage the boss takes by 15%. So
it's less than that, but
yeah, maybe 10. So, but a hunter can spam rank 1 wing clip over and over and over again and make sure that proc lands on the boss. So even a hunter, even though that's not their main priority is to be a melee class, they can be an integral part of the raid because of their melee capability and because of wing clip, which is essentially used for PvP or for PvE if you're trying to get away from someone who's attacking you. But in this scenario, it's helping the raid. So these really cool things that there's so much meta and flavor in Vanilla WoW that you just kind of get lost. You just got lost along the time. But
it was. I never really did PvE. I've always been a PvP player. But it was essential for creating that distance so I could, be within that range to use the bow. So when they got rid of it, it was a learning curve for sure.
Yeah, wing clip. I feel like a player, especially in Vanilla WoW, a good hunter is a hunter that can easily transition from being ranged to melee, and because it's not a lot of hunters get nervous like if they get charged.
Oh, I do.
And you're like, oh god, what do I do? Feign death? I can't put a trap down. Like, what do I do? If you get that improved like wing clip, and you know how to get away from them and reinitialize, kiting them, like that is what really makes and breaks hunters in PvP. So, and it's just like you said, it's that flavorful thing. It's the class fantasy of like being that hunter who also is like putting traps down, putting like little like all these like little wires or something down to slow somebody. And I think it's just I don't know, it's just really really cool. And it seems like every expansion, maybe a little bit less with TBC. TBC was more about balancing in other ways, but after that, things
classes still felt
like,
unique though in TBC.
They definitely did. They felt unique, and but they were balanced more so than they were in Vanilla.
Balanced as far as raid damage and potential in certain roles. Like a paladin could tank fine, you know what I mean? Stuff like that. Whereas in Vanilla, paladins, I mean, I'm sure you can tank as a paladin, sure, and there are some very high-end paladins that tank raids, but that's a very niche group of people. But like even like, the buffs, like, how mages can make food and water, how they can teleport you, how warlocks can bring people back from the dead with soulstone or summon people from across the world, all these unique flavorful things and the reason I asked about the RPG, the tabletop games, to Bombast, and it was because if you can remember D&D, like how those classes were built and how I feel that Vanilla WoW very kind of mirrors a tabletop game where the classes feel unique and you know your role when you pick it, kind of thing.
Oh yeah, there were definitely. I would agree with that. There was a big difference between the classes. You weren't just a different class with the same abilities that had a different name.
Right. Exactly.
I think Bloodlust is a really good example of that because that was unique to just shamans.
Yep.
And mages have time warp now.
Yeah.
Like I don't know. I mean, like it kind of makes sense, but you took that away from
the shaman
who originally had it.
Yep.
And that's class uniqueness. That's you're getting rid of that, and that's just what's irritating to me.
And I remember as a shaman, like in TBC, when someone said Bloodlust, and you hear that roar sound, and you see everyone, and it's
so
it was so cool because like you're like, yeah, I'm a shaman, I caused that to happen, and that's a shaman thing, and and now mages are just like people just say lust now, but it could be even a hunter pet can lust now, right? It's one of the pets that can bloodlust, I think.
There's a pet. I think a certain pet. Yeah, I don't know if they got away with that.
If you have a cunning pet, you can do like you can do something.
Gotcha. Yeah, it's I think that was a good example. The time warp, bloodlust, and the healing thing I think is another really good example. And like I said, it's like every iteration as we go down the line, it became closer and closer and closer together. But you guys brought up something really interesting that I want to talk about, transition a little bit. You talked about your armor set that you had in TBC. And I want to hear what you guys think, but I feel like back in the day, armor sets were a lot more unique for the class, and the classes felt more like it belonged to that class. You know what I mean? Nowadays, warriors and all, like people, I saw a warrior with a paladin set on.
Yeah.
Like, why he transmogged to a paladin? Like, no, that's what a paladin should look like, that, not a warrior. So I just think it's so cool, especially in Vanilla WoW. You had some of the coolest tier sets, and also in the Burning Crusade were some of my favorite tier sets, tier 4, tier 5, tier 6, 1, 2, and 3. But they were so unique to their classes. What are some of your guys' thoughts on that?
I mean, I completely agree. It's weird because I did the virtual ticket for BlizzCon this year. That's my first time doing it, but really I just wanted to play a demo, like I think most people.
Yeah.
And when they do like the panel where people can go up and ask, and they would talk about armor, they talk about tier sets, like the set bonuses, but I'm like, I want to hear about the appearances because Legion had it, and I think BFA is especially bad because I know we've talked about it where you go and you quest and you're like, oh goody, like a new piece of armor, and you equip it and it's the same exact thing. It is the same exact thing. And now with BFA, if you wear plate for raids, like everyone gets the same appearance, or if you wear mail, everyone's the same, cloth, everyone's the same.
Oh, are you serious? It's like
So a druid, like a leather set for a druid is the same thing for a rogue.
Oh my god. And you know why that is? Melderon brought this up. It's because of transmog. It's totally made the artists so lazy because everyone's
I don't know if it's just made them lazy, but also maybe they also need to hire less artists too. Think about that as well.
Yeah.
So transmogs I'm not saying transmogs not have good benefits. Some things are cool about it, and I know people either love transmog or hate it. I'm not going to bash transmog as a whole, but
it's definitely one of the bad.
But I think has a direct correlation to why the tier sets don't look as good. I think personally, I think it has to do with the fact that they don't have the impetus to really create these beautiful. Look at the TBC tiers. They were incredible, incredible.
I will say that in Legion, in the Tomb of Sargeras, they revamped them.
I remember.
They actually looked really cool, even with the different color variations. The Mythic Paladin set, I mean,
I have that set,
It screams justice. And I mean, I started playing Paladin basically because of that set, because I said, I want it. I knew I wasn't going to Mythic raid, but I knew with that next expansion, going back and running old raids, like I knew that was something I wanted to have.
Yeah, I gotta say, Legion did have some good armor sets. I actually collected the, I had every version of, I had Raid Finder, because I played a lot in Legion. So I had the set before that, which was the Night Nightfall or Nighthold.
Nighthold, yeah.
Yeah. So I had Raid Finder, normal, heroic, and mythic for every piece, and then I had the same thing for Team Sargeras, and I love those pieces because it was basically the tier 6, but like redone. So you had like the really cool shoulders and the cool helmet and things like that. So yeah,
they did a really good job.
They did do a really good job, but
yeah, we'll give them that. They did a good job with those. Yep.
I can't believe they made all leather the same, all mail the same. Like that's just lazy. I mean, I don't know.
I don't want transmog in classic at all.
Right.
But for right now in retail, I'm okay with it because
you kind of need it, right?
I'm not crazy about anything that's given to me right now. And I always transmog down. So like early expansions like the Burning Crusade, like the PvP set, season 1 that I have, because it looks so cool.
I love that set. Yeah.
And I mean, when you think about the items that you would pick up from quests or in dungeons in Classic and the Burning Crusade, like I admired that no one's armor was consistent. I admire that everyone just looked botched and thrown together because everything was so wellly done. I mean, obviously when you first start, the first pair of leather pants that I had on a hunter I just made, they're like they have a patch in them. They're very tattered and worn. But then as you progress, like more and more detail gets incorporated, and it makes you feel like a stronger character too. Like it makes you feel like more powerful. But now it's just like this is just what you get, and you'll transmog over it anyway. I mean that's essentially what it is.
You can be like level 10 with like mythic transmog from if you have it on another character or something like that, right? You can have. But I love that point that you made.
No, it has a level requirement. You have to be that level to use that thing.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah. But I like the point that you made that it makes your character feel more powerful because like that is something that I love about vanilla is, and I know it's a lot harder nowadays because they have mobs that zone with you and stuff like that, which, is great for retail. But in vanilla, you felt more powerful when you got this really cool piece of gear and it looked the part, it looked epic. Like Melderon got his whirlwind axe as a warrior and it looks awesome. We enchanted it, put some +9 weapon damage on there, and it looks awesome. I love just watching him run around with that huge axe with a little undead guy with his little scrawny arms, But it gives you that feeling of like my character's gotten stronger. He was wearing pants with holes in it and patches in it, and now he's got, some really nice pants.
So I have to ask Jax. So you're, I believe we've been talking on Discord. I know you've been playing on a server that we call it Voldemort servers because we can't say their names. So now going back in time when you were 11 or 12 when you were playing in Vanilla WoW, how much different is this experience now? Even though it's not really classic WoW, how much different has this experience been for you playing on a unlisted server?
It's actually been a lot different because I know what I'm supposed to do now, I guess. I understand the game. I go through and I'm someone now where I always read the text quest because there's so much, not just where you're supposed to go for your quest, but lore too. And I think it kind of is more immersive for me anyway. Like, this is why I'm doing this. And I don't know, it creates like a personality and like a tone for myself. But it's a lot different just because I know what I'm doing and I understand the things that are going on around me and consequences that can happen. So,
is your dad playing with you on the server?
No,
no, I did not.
But when he came over a little earlier before this, and I was just showing it to him, I was showing him how populated Stormwind was and Ironforge, and I'm like, look at all these people and their cool gear, because you used to look at someone back then and be like, they're a really good player because they got this or that. And he was like, so how do you get this?
Same thing happened to me. Same thing happened to me. Melderon recruited me.
Yes.
I'm waiting for Classic to launch.
Okay. You don't have too much longer, hopefully.
I'm actively staying away from pretty much all information about it. What I get is mostly through her, but I'm the kind of guy, when I go see a movie, I don't watch any trailers before I see it.
I like it. No spoilers.
Yeah, this is I played vanilla before, but there's still going to be surprises. There's still going to be stuff I forgot.
Absolutely, 100%. Oh my God, it was such a rude awakening when I started playing on that, Voldemort server again, because I totally forgot about. Oh my God, I can't. Only Warlocks can summon. Totally forgot about that. Totally forgot about shift
No
click auto
summoning
loot. Yeah,
stones.
yeah. Totally forgot about so many things, and
Yeah.
I totally forgot about like needing to drink. Like I mean, I was playing not needing to drink, but the how much you need to drink, because being like doing mythic pluses and stuff like that, you have a big pool, you need to drink, but you drink like 5, 6, 7 seconds and you got full mana. You might have to take, sometimes if you're a mage, you have to sit down for 2 full drinks to get
Yeah.
full mana, and it's just like, wow, the time, it's a lot slower paced, but it's a lot more rewarding, right? Because
Yep.
you have clear cut goals, and like you said, reading the quest text, like things aren't just thrown out to you and they're not just holding your hand. If you want to learn about the lore and what you're doing, you have to read the quest, but you'll be rewarded because the lore is in the quests. They're
Yeah.
not, it's not voice acting, which is cool, and it's not this and that, but it's a totally different experience, because like if you put the time and effort into it and you're a go-getter and you want to go out and find it, you will be rewarded in Classic WoW. That's what I love about it.
Well, one of my favorite things that I've done so far is once I hit level 10, I could get my pet, which was a nightmare because there's that Banafil burrow or something.
Oh my God.
Oh my God.
Oh, it's horrible.
So if you die and go to hell, that's where you go.
Yes,
That's
absolutely.
where you go.
And it's full of furbolgs.
Yep.
It's painful for everyone, but as a hunter with no pet, like I couldn't get a break. It was awful. So once I got my pet, I did the run to Ironforge, which was really, really exciting because I remember doing it. I mean, I had done it so many times that I would just roll characters here and there. And you're just like running through the wetlands, and as a hunter, I would track bees so I could see where like the crocolists were. Mm-hmm. And then like you're running and you just hear like, and you're like, no, I'm gonna die. Oh my gosh.
That's really smart. I didn't even think about using.
Yeah, I mean, you would die anyway because like the range that you would pull stuff was so big anyway.
You just walk into the wetlands and the whole continent just comes to you. It's like,
yeah. But I just remember when I heard that sound for the first time, like since doing my last run, I don't know, maybe back in the Burning Crusade even.
Wow.
It actually just made me really happy because I'm like, I like that sound for now. I mean, it'll be
little things. Things. Yep.
But
the sound of the bow, and
it was a nice trip through or down memory lane. But
nice.
I definitely miss getting a mount at 20, which I'm obviously like I don't want that during Classic, but because we've been so spoiled, I ran from Stormwind to Goldshire to Red Ridge to Duskwood, and it was just like a 30-minute. I mean, it wasn't a 30-minute endeavor, but I wanted to die because I'm like, all right, this is taking forever. But like, I wouldn't trade that for anything. Like, that's just part of the game.
Yeah,
and at least at 20, you get Aspect of the Cheetah too. So
yeah.
Yeah.
It made the world seem so much larger, and it was big at launch. It was a big game at launch. But having to run everywhere to level 40.
Stranglethorn, like the tip of Stranglethorn all the way
to Booty Bay.
Terrible.
How many times you die there? Yeah.
Well, I play on a PvP server, so it's like the time that it takes you on a PvE is like double for me. But people,
because you're getting ganked at Stranglethorn.
Yeah.
You don't want to run on the road because of who you might run into, but you're just gonna pull everything else if you don't. So.
And there's tigers that are stealthed up in the north. So if you're like, oh, I want to run over here, there's nothing over here. No, there's a bunch of stealth tigers over there, stealth panthers.
And they're just like coming out. You're like, damn it.
And you get dazed, and you're like, oh god.
So I have a somewhat serious question. So you are coming back, and you briefly alluded to some of the pain in the ass stuff that is Vanilla WoW, and that's just how it is, and that's the game we love. Do you think? I think a lot of the people in the community fear that when the retail crowd comes, or people who have never played before, they're going to hate the game before they even really give it a chance because of how long things take and how hard things are. Do you think there's any credence to that? Do you think that people will fall in love with it regardless?
I guess I probably don't have like a nice answer for that, because my thing is that I think the community right now in retail is awful. It's very much a go 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 like mentality. Everyone's got to constantly be doing something. I mean, in retail right now, there's no downtime when you fight. Like if you look at like vanilla PvP videos, there are moments where like you're just swinging your weapon or whatever, and now there isn't that time. So I honestly think people who have like this complex or this personality that everything has to be a rush, like they probably will hate it. And if they don't play classic, I wouldn't be sad, because I mean, to me, those are usually like the most annoying or toxic people anyway, because they're usually rude. So if I don't know, if someone doesn't like it, like I could care less, because the people I want to play classic, you are ones who probably played classic or the Burning Crusade and are the people who know what they're already getting into. So I can imagine that within the first month of classic being out, there's going to be people in the forums, complaining about something. This is hard. Like, I'm dying too much. What am I supposed to, like, this needs nerfed, or, where's this? Like, why is my character so weak? Like, I just don't want to hear it. Like, bye.
Thank you for speaking your mind and for saying that, because I really think that for a lot of people, and this is okay, classic WoW will not be the game for you.
Yeah.
For a lot of people who came into playing WoW, we're talking like Cata, and forward, it is a completely different game than the previous expansions before that. There was a lot of downtime, like I said. There was a lot of, quality of life things did not exist, such as, like having to, take things, mail one thing at a time in the bank, or like dual spec, not getting them out till later, and things took a lot more time, but you were rewarded for it in the end. And I think that's something to keep in mind. However, I do think there will be some people maybe who are itching to get some more of a, I wouldn't say harder experience or more challenging experience, but a more rewarding experience.
Yeah.
I think there will be some, but for the most part, I think you're absolutely right. For the most part, the kind of people that like retail WoW for its fast go 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 style, if that's what you're looking for in a game, then classic is not the game for you.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Someone in the Discord, I think yesterday, might have mentioned that, it's going to be hard because you're going to get into a raid, they're going to wipe on the boss, and someone's just going to leave. Like, what are you supposed to do then? And it's just like the people who are doing that raid aren't going to leave, because they're going to know how hard it is to get 40 people, same place, same time. Like, what you're getting. If you invest yourself that much, you know exactly what you're getting into.
Absolutely. Yep. And guess what? I'm going to add those people, or not add them. I'm going to remember who they were and make sure I don't invite any of those people again next time, because the community is very good at that. The community is very good, the classic community, at policing itself in a way, because, it happens all the time on that server that will not be named. Someone ninjas an item. You look and you see in world chat or in trade chat, don't group with so-and-so. He's a ninja, blah, 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 blah. Happened to me before. I said the same thing. I said, listen, this guy, we got to a boss in CF, and he put it on Master Loot and tried to ninja the staff. And I was like, no. Me and the priest left, started spamming his name in trade chat. I was like, don't deal with this guy's a ninja. And everyone was like, yeah, screw that guy. The community is very good at policing itself. So as long as we have that attitude and keep that state of mind, I think we'll be okay.
Yeah, there's just repercussions to your actions. And I mean, if you don't hold yourself accountable, other damn will, for sure.
Yeah, that's one of the things I miss from Vanilla also, is just the community. You couldn't afford to have a reputation as a jerk, or else you were going to have a really hard time of it.
Yeah,
you definitely were. Yeah, people would know right away. They wouldn't group with you, and you got a bad name. And the thing in Vanilla is, like, you couldn't just re-roll an alt and get them to max level in a couple of days, right? You had to,
right.
You had to change servers or something,
and interact with people again. And if you're going to be that asshole again, you're going to get put down again, and you're not going to have. The thing is, like, you get into what you put into the game, right? If you put into, I always say, treat people like how you want to be treated, even within the world of Azeroth. same thing goes. Same rules apply. If you want to be helped along the way and people to, give you pointers and, help you and maybe give you a piece of gear, give you a buff here and there, be that person who does that, and it will come back to you, because Classic WoW, like, karma is real in Classic WoW, 100%.
Well, one thing I really liked, and I actually just watched it today, was your etiquette video. I thought that was so nicely done, because since playing on this server, I just it's like you went back in time, because you run past someone on the road and they're just like, here's fortitude. And you're like, oh man, thanks. Like, no one does that in retail.
Yeah.
And I don't necessarily blame them, because it doesn't matter. Because in Classic, in Vanilla, that buff would make a really big difference. I mean, that could be life or death for you on that next mob pool. Maybe you're not prepared, or maybe you pulled one too many. And I mean, in retail, it's not really like that. You'll pretty much be fine no matter what you do. But it's just so nice that I'll just run by someone, or sometimes Druid will come by and just throw me a quick little heal over time. And, I'm just like, hey, thanks, man. Which I couldn't talk to anybody for 10 levels. So that was really weird. So it was just
that's the only thing that's but even just the /TY or /wave, that means something, and a lot of the classes, I love when in Classic a warrior runs by and he can't buff, and I give him fort, and he just / dances or / thanks, and
because the warriors really, really need a fortitude buff.
Yes, they do.
Definitely.
And if you're a mage, give your warriors and rogues intellect, because it'll help them level their weapon skills up.
People.
See, when I played my warrior during Vanilla, all I cared about, and this is really shameful, all I cared about was that my armor matched. So I didn't care about my stats. I only cared that my Night Elf warrior looked good. So I had spirit and intellect on my armor, which I just now figured out. Melderon had told me that it was actually beneficial. So I didn't look as dumb as I thought I did. But I thought that way. Well, I thought that way because, as WoW had progressed, there was a point where it wasn't those kind of stats weren't beneficial to a warrior. A paladin, yes, but a warrior, no. So I've gone my whole life just ashamed that I was a warrior running around with plus intellect and plus spirit, but now I know that I was okay.
You actually were getting something out of it. Spirit's really good for a warrior because they have approximately 8 times as much out of combat health regen out of combat than any other class. So what a lot of warriors do is they'll have an add-on called Outfitter, and what that add-on lets you do is switch all your pieces immediately. And they'll have a whole bunch of spirit gear, whether it's cloth, mail, leather, doesn't matter, and they'll kill a mob in their agility or armor, high armor gear, their strength gear, switch to spirit, regen their health, and then reinitialize and then switch back. They'll switch back to their gear and reinitialize an enemy. So you can essentially never have to bandage or eat as a warrior. So definitely, you weren't doing anything wrong. Spirit is really, really good. And intellect will increase the rate at which you increase your weapon skills. So, when you switch weapons, you never used an axe before, right? And you get a new axe, and your axe skill is 0, so you're missing and they're dodging, but intellect increases the rate you get those points. So
so that's how I made it to level 42 then. That spirit. And
that's the spirit thing. I knew a warrior who had this crazy spirit set. So BRD, the boss after the big room with all the dwarfs. What's that called again? With all the big pillars.
BRD. The part where you have to light the flames.
Oh. Yeah. Well, right after that, the boss, the big stone guy, and the fire shoots out of the wall.
Yeah.
So that fire does a lot of damage. So this warrior spirit set was so strong, he would sit down in the fire and his health would just keep ticking up, wouldn't even die from it. That's how good his spirit set was. That's how strong spirit is for warriors.
Wow.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
I didn't even know that. I knew that, it was, but I had no idea it could be that strong. No idea.
Yeah.
No idea.
Yeah, it's a factor of about 8.
Learning.
Yeah, higher than any other class, which is it's interesting when you think about it, because back in the day, no one, and people of course knew that, right? But it wasn't widespread information. And nowadays we have this theory crafting, we have this information, and people are like, oh yeah, you can do this. And now it's the cool thing to do as a warrior to have all the spirit gear. It's like it's like you're beating the meta or whatever. But really interesting stuff. So just to transition, we're getting pretty close to an hour. But I wanted to talk about what are you looking forward to the most coming back to Classic WoW?
I think just doing things right. And as I'd mentioned earlier, just giving myself that opportunity to hit level 60, especially as an Alliance character, because once the Burning Crusade came out, I rolled Warlock on Horde. So I've played through, not necessarily the vanilla side of the Horde, but I never turned back from there. So, and just getting a brand new experience as an Alliance character and going back through those zones and being able to enjoy like their environment, because when you look at Alliance versus Horde, they're completely different and like ecosystems almost.
Oh yeah.
But I want to hit level 60 on an Alliance character. Like I said, I want to be that level 60 hunter, and I want to PvP. The armor sets for like the Grand Marshal, it's like silver and gold.
Oh, it's awesome
like beautiful, and I want that. I want that so bad.
Do it. Absolutely do it. Go out and do it.
What about you?
I'm just looking forward to playing with you.
Yeah, we'll be able to play together.
I have to say that, cool. And this goes for both of you, not just for you, Bombast, but I have to say, it's really awesome that you can bond with your daughter in something like this, because like I think a lot of people who play WoW kind of wish their parents did, or understood them, or understood the game more, or kind of shared that, because it's such a huge part of our lives that I think a lot of us would love to have our it could be parents, significant others, it could be siblings, it could be anybody that will kind of like get involved with it. And I just want to say that's really cool. But I also want to say, Jax, it's really cool that you're playing with your dad. It goes both ways, right? It's not just you. It's a really awesome thing to watch, to see two people that can bond, that are family members in Azeroth, in classic Azeroth. So
yeah, I mean, most kids and their parents like baseball or football. I know my younger brother, like, they talk about cars, and I'll call my dad and be like, "You'll never guess what I just did in this battleground." And I did that recently. Like, I have to tell a story because it was like my World of Warcraft highlight of my life. I was in Eye of the Storm, and they were about to cap the flag, which it would have put them over our points and won, because we were neck and neck. And hunters have this bursting shot, which knocks you back. So I was trying to push him off the map, like blow him. Yeah. And it didn't work. So the only thing I had left was my explosive trap, which is a big knockback as well.
Right.
And I just like threw it. I mean, I had a really good range, so I'm like eyeballing where he's going to run, hoping he doesn't change course. He hits it and gets blown off the map. And literally, like, the Alliance that were helping run him just stopped. Like, they just stopped because they knew it was over. And I am in like I'm in like my battleground chat in all caps. Did anybody see that? And no one was around. No one saw that moment. And I texted you, and then he didn't answer me, and I called him. And like my heart was pounding, because I'm like, this was the highlight of like my life. This was the coolest thing I have ever done. And I don't know, I still get really excited when I think about it, because it's moments like that where I wish I streamed or like recorded myself playing, because man, you just the paladin, like I just saw him write burr, like he wrote LOL as he was like falling off the map.
That's so funny.
It's fun having these things to talk about, though.
It is.
I mean, we probably sound like a couple of geeks, or whatever, when we start talking about WoW. Your mom, I think she pretty much just tunes us out and rolls her eyes. But
she'll leave the room.
It's so cool, though. Like, I gotta say, Melderon and I's relationship is so much. I mean, we already are best friends, but it's so much even more stronger because of WoW. And we'll have these little inside jokes, and we'll have these little things, like, how you feeling today, Melderon? I'm kind of sick. Here's a rank 4 cleanse, or something like that. Just little inside jokes, or just little stories I've told each other. The other day I one shot a warlock when Whirlwind procced, and it was awesome, and like you said, it was always something always happens. I'm like, I wish I was recording at that moment, and it never ends. It's never, and I'm just gonna when Classic comes out, I'm just gonna have either streaming or recording at all times, so that I can just log everything, because But I really like what you said. going back to making your alliance character and experiencing that, like I am 100% an advocate for doing something you either haven't done or wanted to do for a long time. Melderon and I got to experience playing on Alliance in Classic on a previous server. And I know from Melderon, who never experienced playing Alliance pre-Cata, was like playing the game again, totally, fresh for him because completely different quests. Like I said, Alliance and Horde, completely different feeling, completely different
Oh yeah.
aesthetics, completely different feeling inside the social aspect. Like I feel like Alliance talk to each other differently than Horde do. Even if it's small things, very small, minimal things, I feel like Alliance are different in PvP than Horde are. Alliance usually stick together more when Horde sometimes will go off on little, bands, like little 3 or 4, when the Alliance like usually tend to stay together in one giant group. Just little things that's just different for each faction. If you never healed before, do it. If you never tanked before, do it. This is our chance, right? This is it. This is
Yeah.
Classic WoW. It's coming. Do something you never did before. Get that experience of Vanilla WoW again. That feeling when you first started playing. And for me, like making that Dwarf Rogue that I made, I never leveled in Dunmorrow, never leveled in Lockwoodon. I loved it. It was amazing. It was so much fun, and I'm definitely going to be doing something new that I never did before in Classic. So
Yeah.
now's your chance. Yeah.
Absolutely, and I think the biggest thing for me is that what I missed from playing retail when I quit in Legion, but what I missed the most was the community aspect of the game, and I think that's what really Vanilla WoW gives us is an opportunity to talk to people, engage, get to know people, forge relationships and forge friendships, and I think that's the biggest thing for me is to go back to a game where it's like these interactions matter, talk, and I think that's a huge part of why Classic's so good. Do you guys agree? Is that something that you're looking forward to as well? The community
Oh
relations.
yeah, absolutely. I mean, it was normal to log in during vanilla, and as soon as you log in, people who weren't even in your guild, but just people you had played with before, or grouped with before. As soon as you log in, they'd be
Yep.
messaging you, "Hey, you want to go do this? Hey, you want to, and that doesn't happen, at least not to me anymore.
Absolutely not. The hell no, no. And
Outside of your guild,
sometimes,
really, in retail, I don't think that
yeah,
happens very much.
it's
Yeah,
very, but it's really great because, like you said, you get known to be, if you're a really good tank, a really good healer, a really good DPS. People are like, oh, Jack's just logged on. We need to get her in here and do this and do this
Yeah,
battleground. Like, let's get her in here. She's really good at playing a hunter. We need a hunter. Like that, it's just so cool to make that character and build up that esteem and build up who that character is, and it becomes this person on this server, and it feels so alive. And you really don't get that too much in retail anymore, and it's so strong in Classic WoW. And I'm so excited to have my priest. I want it to be an enchanter. I want to have like all the really good enchants. I want to be like, oh, Defcamp's on, got to get those enchants. I want to get my guy. I'm going to do tailoring at first, and I'm going to drop him. I'm going to get engineering. I want to get him to at least rank 10 so I can PvP with him as Shadow. I'm going to heal his holy. Then I'm going to have other characters. I got so many things planned, so many ideas, and so many things ready to go. I'm just so excited.
yeah, we are too.
I want to play Paladin so bad, and
Do it.
Ret Paladin has their like reputation,
Mm-hmm.
but like, how can you not watch people like Esfan and like not want to play a Ret Paladin?
I know.
Or like
It
a
makes it. Yeah.
warrior, if you
Yeah.
watch Swifty, like how does that make you not want to play a warrior?
That's the thing. Yeah. I was watching Executus, I think, and he was it was one of his older videos, I think, and just watching him like one shot people on Warrior. I mean, he went like 4v1. And warriors have a very high skill cap. So like you can be an okay warrior, but to be like a really good warrior. But the thing about Vanilla WoW is I feel like every class, if you're really good at playing it, can be that. Like you can be an amazing boomkin, you can be an amazing
Yeah.
Ellie Shaman, amazing enhancement, you can be an amazing Ret Paladin. And it's just like it's balanced in the way where if you know what to do, if you go out and maybe get engineering and get these cool items and things like that, you can really go toe to toe with almost any class if you know what you're doing. But like I know exactly what you mean. Like and Swifty himself made such a huge impact on PvP in general. Like a lot of people didn't know about engineering and all those one-off items like Skull of Impending Doom until Swifty came around. So I mean, he did a lot for PvP. But
Yeah. You know
yeah, I'm
all
excited.
about engineering.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I had a dwarf hunter, level 60 dwarf hunter, who was an engineer. I actually, I was it bite 8 I needed for my pet, and
Oh yeah.
the only place to get it I think was Lower
That's
Black
correct.
Rock.
Lower Black Rock
Yep.
Spire.
Yep.
Yep.
I soloed it
Really?
as a dwarf engineer. I'm pretty sure you had to be a dwarf and an engineer to pull it off.
I
But
hate Lower Blackrock Spire. I hate that place.
I
No,
did
but
it.
the only place to get it is from the wolves in there, though. You can't get it from any other wolf.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
And I actually pulled it off solo after about 30 corpse runs, but eventually it worked. But yeah, you definitely needed engineering to do it.
That's so cool. That's so cool.
But yeah, that was probably one of the highlights of my vanilla experience. Is
I remember
getting
you
by
doing
8
it.
solo in Lower Black Rock.
That's so cool.
Sitting on the couch behind you, just like watching you do it over and over again.
Watching me die over and over.
Yeah.
Oh man.
That's bring back memories. Just watch people play, and it's just it's a lot of fun. Vanilla was a great game, and I really can't wait to play it. And Jax, if you should consider if you want to. I don't know. I think you'd be a good streamer. You should consider it.
Absolutely.
I think you do well.
Absolutely.
Yeah. You have a good personality. I think people would like watching it. And there's not, honestly, and this not to get gender involved, but I think there's not a lot of women streamers, and I think that you could probably
Or
do
like
well.
normal.
Especially for Vanilla WoW, and our normal.
Definitely not for Vanilla WoW,
Yeah,
that aren't trying to use certain parts of their
physique. Yeah,
physique. That's the word. Physique. That's
Don't
the word.
even
Thank
get
you.
me started on that.
Yeah. But I think you do really well. But
and you can have your dad and Bombast come in there and just have fun. That's the thing I like when I stream. Melderon will come in on the call or something like that, and we'll just talk. And I think you would be a great streamer. And this is the time, right? Classic WoW's coming out, and
we're all gonna suck a little bit.
Yeah, I know.
Oh yeah, definitely. There's gonna be a learning curve, even in class. There's gonna be a learning curve because there are certain things we have to consider, like maybe different. So even if you play on a private server.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I recently learned from cargos that auto shot is very important to hunters. Like I mean, I don't know when that changed because it's obviously not like that anymore, or when I really like dived into like playing hunter. But I was watching a guy he recently just put out. It's like an hour long. He did such a good job on it.
It's a really good job.
Yeah, and he's like, auto shot this, auto shot that. And I'm like, why would you do that? But it's like, I didn't realize that was essential to playing Hunter. So now being on this server, like I'm like utilizing that. And like, I can see the difference from, a couple of days before I watched the video to now in my DPS. Like it's legit. It's a real thing, but I had no idea.
I can't imagine that because you were unstoppable before.
Yeah,
it's
auto shot's important. I think that's I could be wrong here, but I think that's probably 60% of your damage. So maybe
I had no idea.
Yeah, so you just gotta know when to clip it and stuff. I'm learning still. I just started playing Hunter, so I'm not a Hunter resource at all. But I did watch that guide as well, and I learned a lot from it.
I'm curious when it changed though to when like auto shot what didn't become important anymore, because like I said, that's what I've always gone off of. So when he mentioned that, like that was like brand new, that was news to me because I just never heard that.
I mean, Melderon and we're learning things every single day, like every day, whether it's theory crafting, whether it's little nuggets of information that I never knew. There's so many things. This game is 14 years old, 15 years old, and there's still so many little things we're learning. It's amazing, And when Classic WoW is going to come out, we're still going to be learning every day. Like people always say, Classic WoW's been done. It's there's enough. Everyone's theory crafted out the wazoo, and you can't do anymore. No, I'm telling you, like every day there's something new to talk about. There's something new to think about. There's something new to theory craft. There's something new to explore. Every day.
Oh yeah, there's a bunch of zones I've never been to, so
yeah,
I'll definitely be. I'm actually following the same zones that I did back in Vanilla. That way, when Classic is released, I'm going to do like a whole brand new path. So like,
awesome.
It is like a brand new experience for me.
I love that. Yeah, and something I got from my last guest, the two brothers that were on, was keeping like a journal and kind of writing your experiences there, or you can even do it like on your computer. But I think that's something really interesting because a lot of the times I forget like these little interactions that I had, and maybe if I wrote it down, it would help me remember, or even just recording it or something like that. So I think that's going to be something I might look into doing this time around.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
Well, guys, it was really good having you on. We really enjoyed this, and thank you so much for reaching out to us because guys, if you don't know this, you just melderon.gaming@gmail.com is how all our guests pretty much get on the show. They email us, we have a conversation, and we get everyone on. And I'm sorry if I know a lot of people. I just got like 3 or 4 more emails this week, and I'm getting to reading them. It's been kind of crazy with everything going on, but we'll get you on eventually. And it just takes a little bit of time, but we'll get you on eventually. And if you're listening to this on a podcast, we re-upload all of these to Spotify, SoundCloud, Google Play, Stitcher, and iTunes. If you're listening on the podcast and you haven't visited us on YouTube, we have other videos too, not just podcasts. And if you're on YouTube and you listen to DefTalk on there, you don't have to just sit on your computer and watch it. You can take it with you on your phone, or whatever device you're using. And we have a Twitter, we have a Discord. Jax is on the Discord. She's been very active, actually. She's been talking a lot, and we've been sharing some experiences and stuff like that. Yeah. So, definitely head on there. And Defcamp has been streaming. He started streaming again, so definitely check that out.
I'm streaming today. Going to be streaming more often. As we get closer to the release of Classic, I will definitely be streaming more. Whenever we hear news or anything like that, I'll be streaming. I want to get my feet more into it. I really didn't stream too much before because I wanted to stream the game that I love. I didn't want to just sit there and stream games that I really am not too passionate about. But even if it's just talking about it for an hour, I'm going to start doing that more. But I just really, really, really want to say, guys, thank you so much. And, Jackson said in the Discord, we have an amazing community, amazing group of people in our Discord. And we really, really, really want to play with you guys when Classic comes out. So if you guys want to interact with us there, that would be the best place to do it. So thank you guys, Jack and Bombast, for coming out today and doing this with us. It was amazing. It was awesome. And until next time, guys, this is Defcamp.
This is Melderon and
Jax.
Bombast.
Awesome. See you later, guys. Keep on
grinding. See you guys.
Peace.
Greetings, adventurers. Melderon here. Thank you all so much for watching this video. If you'd like to support some official Defcamp Melderon t-shirts and hoodies, head on over to Brandon Media's Defcamp Melderon TV merchandise website. The link is in the description below.